Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Cal CCA's Community Energy Innovation webinar series. Today, we focus on the important topic of energy resilience. I'm Leora Vestal, Cal CCA's Director of Communications.
I'm Jackson McDonough, Communications Associate at Cal CCA.
Thank you to our webinar series sponsors. Calpine is one of the largest generators of electricity in the US and the nation's largest operator of geothermal power plants, including the 725 megawatt geysers facility in Sonoma and Lake counties. I know a number of CCAs contract with the geysers, which provides renewable 24/7 baseload energy. Calpine Energy Solutions partners with CCA programs throughout California, providing a host of key services. Calpine counts many operational and soon to launch aggregators as clients, including Clean Energy Alliance, which launched just this month. Today's distinguished speakers are Sean Sevilla, Vi Ibarra, and Dana Armanino. Sean is Manager of Customer Programs at MCE, which launched in 2010 as California's first operational CCA. Vi Ibarra is Executive Assistant to the Developmental Disabilities Council at Contra Costa Health Services, and Dana Armanino is Principal Planner for the County of Marin.
Great, so there's just going to be a couple of housekeeping rules before we get started. Just to let everyone know, the webinar is going to be recorded, so you can always find the webinar afterwards. All participants are going to be in listen-only mode, so if you want to interact, what we suggest is to use the Q&A button. There is a chat function, but we won't be monitoring it as closely, so make sure to use that Q&A if you want your question answered. And then that Q&A session will be following shortly after the presentations. So, all right, over to you, Sean.
Great, thank you, Jackson. All right. Hi, so my name's Sean Sevilla, and just to reiterate, I'm the Manager of Customer Programs here at MCE, and I oversee our Distributed Energy Resources initiatives, which includes our resiliency initiatives. So yes, MCE was formed in 2008, and we actually started service in 2010. And our mission is to address climate change by reducing energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. Since then, we have grown to 36 member communities across 4 counties in our service territory. Actually, next slide. And we support locally controlled, cost-competitive options that have almost twice the amount of renewable energy as traditional or traditional service. Our customers, of course, are greening our energy supply while helping support local programs, including the energy storage program and resiliency initiatives that we're going to discuss today. And so kind of to the core theme of today, as a result of power shutoff events and the increased threat of wildfires, MCE has recognized that there's an increasing need to support efforts to increase energy resiliency in our communities. And we're doing this through a variety of programs. The 2 that we're going to talk about today are our energy storage program, as well as a portable battery program that we launched last year. So within the energy storage program, we have a 2-year goal to support resiliency through the deployment of up to 15 megawatt hours of customer-sited storage. These storage systems are intended to provide a variety of benefits that help MCE as well as our customers achieve their mission, such as resilience, bill savings for customers, lower emissions, and grid health by supporting broader system power quality and reliability. And so MCE is supporting these goals with a variety of funding sources. So our board has generously allocated $7 million into a resiliency fund to support these programs. And then we've designed our programs to also leverage the statewide self-generation incentive program, which had up to over $200 million available to California ratepayers statewide, and we help our customers apply for these incentives through our programs. And then lastly, the Marin Community Foundation has also awarded a grant to MCE to support mission-aligned nonprofits in multifamily housing in Marin County by helping buy down the cost of resiliency projects to either low cost or no cost out of pocket to those customers. So using these funds, MCE has developed programs to support our customers. within a variety of use cases that inform the operation and quantify the benefits of the batteries we're deploying within our programs. We've developed like 3 primary use cases within these programs. And this is all centered around the benefits of providing load shifting, which is a system-wide benefit as well as a customer benefit, and then resiliency benefits that provide our customers power during outages. And so the first use case that we use to inform these programs is daily peak load management. And that's where we shift solar production from the middle of the day to the evening hours, and that's during 4 to 9 p.m. in the evening. What this does is it actually helps reduce carbon emissions by offsetting power usage during peak hours where the marginal or like the last generator turn on in the energy system is generally a gas-fired power generator. It also facilitates the deployment of further renewable resources, either at a customer site or within our service territory. And so it not only has benefits to the customer, but it also has benefits for the system as well. Our second use case for these programs is planned public safety power shutoffs. And this is where MCE receives advanced notification of an outage. And so under this use case, batteries are commanded or they're signaled to start charging immediately to full capacity at the time that we are notified of a PSPS event or public safety power shutoff. And then during the outage, they'll discharge for the customer and allow the customer to ride through an outage or provide power to critical loads during that time. And then of course, the last use case we use to inform these programs is emergency outages, where the battery is either fully charged already or it immediately begins charging either from on-site solar or from other power resources to provide power to a customer during an outage. Of course, these are the 3 use cases we're considering now, but as opportunities expand, we're always on the lookout for new innovative ways to provide value both to the system, which expands to all of our customers, as well as the customers that own and operate the battery. And so to bring these use cases to our customers, we've partnered with several vendors. So our program partners are, our main partner is TRC Companies, which was selected through a competitive solicitation in 2010. And they kind of act as the umbrella implementer for our programs. And then within that, they've deployed what we call a trade ally program. This is where we pre-vet and select based on technical capabilities, as well as their customer offerings, battery providers that can support our customers. And so on the residential side, we have electric power. We have recently signed SunPower into the program. And then lastly, we have THG, which offers comprehensive energy solutions for customers. And then on the non-residential side, we have Gridscape, which offers microgrid solutions and has participated in several Energy Commission grants. We have THG Solutions again, which offers strategic energy management. And then MBL Energy, which has one of the few offerings on the market that provides customers in the small to medium range with the battery. And then lastly, again, SunPower, which also develops both front of the meter and behind the meter resources, although within our program, it's just behind the meter customer-owned batteries. So these trade allies are approved to offer program benefits to our customers. And so our customer offering is fairly comprehensive. So our trade allies help plan, design, and install a battery for our customers. And then by stacking incentives, MCE is able to help our customers receive either a significantly reduced or no cost battery through our program. And so how these incentives stack is that we have the statewide self-generation incentive program that we help our customers apply for. And then MCE offers what we call gap funding to the customer to help kind of what we call bridge the gap between what SGIP can offer and then the full cost of the battery that the customer may have to pay. And then, of course, for our non-residential customers, we then offer performance-based payments for those batteries discharging and providing grid benefits throughout the day. And then as part of this, as part of receiving the gap funding, those customers also connect their battery to MCE's control system, also known as a distributed energy resource management system, where we can help track that performance as well as deploy new opportunities to our customers and then quantify those grid benefits. We also offer our customers bill credits between $10 and $200 a month, depending on if they're residential or a non-residential customer, and depending on the size of their battery. And then through the control system, we can further reduce energy costs for our customers through smart charging and discharging. But this isn't just a customer offering. It's not just the trade allies. This program lives within a much broader, much more comprehensive ecosystem of partners and initiatives at MCE. So as you'll see here, the trade allies is what I've already discussed, but MCE is really looking at this initiative much more holistically. We recognize there's going to be increased technologies, increased innovation in this market, especially around what we call distributed energy resources. That can be inclusive of smart thermostats, electric vehicles, and other customer-sided resources. And through that, what we're really recognizing is there's an opportunity to send signals to help our customers save money, as well as enhance the performance and the health of our local grid. And so as part of this program, we're deploying a DERMS platform, or a distributed energy resource management system, which can send these signals to these batteries. But we also are looking at this more systematically in terms of community benefits, as well as reducing as many barriers as we can to our customers for actually installing these batteries. So with that, we've partnered with Rising Sun Center for Opportunity to provide workforce development opportunities to members of our community, and actually help them achieve high road careers in the energy industry. And then we're also starting one of an innovative financing program that is fully funded by MCE to support our residential customers. And that program is actually currently in development, and we'll be excited to share some updates about that to our customers in the very near future. And so given this ecosystem we've created, MCE is continuously exploring how we can pursue future program innovations. And so really what this is what MCE is moving towards, is that we're taking our initial program concepts and concepts that might be new to our market and the customers we serve. And then as we deploy those program designs, both modify and innovate on those designs and those programs to further increase the impacts and the benefits to our customers that are both participating in that program, as well as customers just as our general ratepayer that may not be participating directly in any of our programs. And so with that, we have 3 phases within the energy storage program and our resiliency initiatives, which is that under phase 1, we're deploying an initial, we have an initial goal of 15 megawatt hours of energy storage systems to our customers to meet our 2-year resiliency and reliability goal. And then in the second phase of the program, that's really where we're utilizing that energy resources management platform to monitor and control those assets or those batteries to really increase the value to the customer. And then of course, in the third phase, we're continuously exploring future revenue streams, either by integrating that battery into, say, the wholesale market, or exploring other ways that MCE can increase the value for our customers, both on the resiliency side as well as the daily operations side. We also want to promote those long-term benefits I described earlier to support our communities. And so back again to Rising Sun Center for Opportunity and how we've partnered with them, is that we're leveraging their Opportunity Build program. And within this, we're providing training, case management, and job placement services to cohorts of members of our community. And then after their training and case management, they receive more than 12 months of intensive case management to help them with job placements. And then we've partnered in this program with our trade allies. And so we're working with our trade allies to create opportunities for these for these trainees to actually get jobs with the trade allies in our program. We have a focus on union construction and building trades within the solar and storage industries, which we call high road careers. These are careers that have advancement opportunities and promote upskilling and attainment of valuable skills in our service territory, which will also actually help reduce the barriers to us deploying additional innovative solutions. But we also want to focus on low-income adults that have barriers to employment, such as previous incarceration or other barriers they may be experiencing. And then Rising Sun also has a special focus on women and reentry individuals within these cohorts. But really where I want to leave this though is that through all of our programs, we also have a key focus on our most vulnerable customers. And so within this program, we're really trying to target removing barriers for for some of our most vulnerable customers. And so these are customers that may have been the most impacted by public safety power shutoffs, reside in high threat fire districts. This also includes critical facilities that provide community benefits, such as local nonprofits or some of our municipal customers. And then our low income medically vulnerable customers, as well as disadvantaged and low income communities in our service territory. And so with that, we're going to talk about sort of our MCE's first program that really strove to provide resiliency to our customers. And this was a portable battery program that was launched and piloted in 2019 and 2020. And to provide some context on why we started with a portable battery program first, in 2019, the MCE service territory had PSPS events that impacted approximately 260,000 of our accounts, which is about 600,000 of our customers. And then of that, over 70,000 of those customers had 3 or more outages, which led to what we estimate to be about 5 million total outage hours for those customers, which is a huge impact for our service territory. And during this time, we realized that for our most vulnerable communities, there was a need to provide like immediate resiliency to our most medically vulnerable customers on a timeline that couldn't be met with the deployment of stationary energy storage. And so with this, to support our medical baseline customers, MCE purchased 100 portable 3 kilowatt-hour batteries for our medical baseline customers. And the reason we did this is because our customers with medical devices were literally left in the dark, and they were the most at risk from these extended outages. And before 2020, there were community centers that these customers could go and congregate. However, in 2020, with the shutdowns, as well as the COVID, as well as the pandemic, these customers weren't always able to go to those centers during PSPS events. And so our board approved the expenditure of about $250,000 for us to purchase and provide off-grid battery systems to our customers. And this work was aligned with work already underway at the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, which was exploring other efforts similar to this throughout the state. And so with this, we partnered with the Centers for Independent Living in our service territory. We identified the Marin Center for Independent Living, the Disability Legal Services Center in Napa, and the Independent Living Resources of Solano and Contra Costa, as well as the Developmental Disabilities Council of Contra Costa Health Services to partner on the distribution and deployment of this program. And so now I'm going to hand things off to Ibarra, who will go into more detail on the rollout of this program from her perspective.
Thank you, Sean, and hello, everybody. My name is Vi Ibarra, and I serve as staff to the Developmental Disabilities Council in Contra Costa County, and I'm happy to speak with you today about how we supported these rollout efforts in Contra Costa County. The Developmental Disability Council works to coordinate and improve services for individuals with disabilities in our county and to help advocate for their needs. And we also serve as an advisory body to our board of supervisors. And our council's been in existence for 40 years, which I think kind of just illustrates our particular county's demonstration of the strong commitment to serve every member of our county, even those who sometimes maybe don't have quite as much of a voice. So I don't know anything about power other than paying my own utility bill, and everything that Sean just talked about, I really didn't understand. So this is not my world, power. But my world is developmental disabilities, those service systems that go along with it. So MCE contacted me in June of last year, and I really suspect she just probably Googled, you know, some keywords, and the Disabilities Council came up for her, which was fantastic. And so MCE had contacted me looking for some conversation and information around how I might be able to assist with this program, how I might be able to help identify any other partners locally that should be involved, how to make sure that we were identifying who in our community would be most at risk in the event of a power shutdown. And so I was able to connect in with some of the other service systems that support our vulnerable residents. And I was also able to assist in how information was pushed out to our community and the ways to best inform our community of this as an opportunity for them to seek out. So I was really excited to be partnering with MCE on this battery program because there was so much of the plan was in place already, you know, meaning they had secured the funding for the batteries. They were on a ship somewhere overseas, I think, when I first spoke with MCE. So the batteries were secured and on their way. And also MCE had connected with the Centers for Independent Living to manage the application process and to decide who the recipients would be for the limited number of batteries. We have over 1 million people in our county, and we had 100 batteries to work with. So there were some decisions that needed to be made there. And so keep in mind that these batteries are only appropriate for a certain segment of our power dependent, medically vulnerable folks. If a person relies on continuous power for life-sustaining equipment, then they need permanent power generation at their home, and they need a plan for medical transport if there is an outage and they need to get to wherever they need to be safe. So these backup batteries are appropriate for people who rely on things like a powered hospital bed to get in and out of bed or to reposition, or they use a power wheelchair, or a CPAP machine, or those kinds of things. So reviewing those applications and determining who would receive the batteries was important. And with that going through the Center for Independent Living, I think that was an excellent choice. Because this is a community organization that many people are familiar with already and have some kind of relationship with already. And, many marginalized folks might feel some mistrust around connecting with somebody that they're not familiar with, or from an entity or agency they're not familiar with. So it was a good familiar connection for a lot of people there. So then it was easy for me to sort of do some of that networking work that I did and to help connect with the individuals who would benefit from the batteries. And this aligns really well with the broader picture of what Contra Costa Health Services is charged with doing. So, when I was first connecting with MCE, it sounded like the plan was to have one of their staff drivers physically deliver individually these 100 batteries around the county. And each battery weighs about 80 pounds. And so that's a big undertaking to get 100 of those big batteries delivered to 100 different doors. So we were brainstorming around more efficient ways to get the batteries to the folks who need them. And we hit on the idea of utilizing a resource that's available as part of our county COVID response. So one of the functions of our department operations center is to manage transportation systems for relief personnel and supplies during an emergency, which we were in at that time, and we're still in that state of emergency. So we connected the delivery need directly with that particular function in our DOC. meaning it was really just simply in the best interest of all of our county residents to keep those who are most medically vulnerable out of the charging stations and the congregate sites, cooling stations that had been set up. So delivering backup power to homes means that we were able to keep those people, or many of those most vulnerable people, out of the congregate sites and in their homes where they'd be safer and not at risk for exposure. So it was a great project to work on with MCE, because during this turbulent time and where many things felt out of control, this was a very concrete project that was super rewarding to work on, because when it was all said and done, we've gotten 100 batteries delivered to 100 people. There was a nice tangible outcome from it, which was felt really good and made it fun to work on. So anyway, that's the end of what I wanted to share with you today. I'm happy to answer any questions that may come up, and thank you for inviting me to join you today.
Yeah, thank you, Vi. And I just wanted to underscore the importance from MCE's perspective of local partnerships in promoting and enhancing community resiliency. And, you know, this is something that we're striving to, you know, continuing connect to through our energy storage program that's installing permanent customer-owned energy storage systems. And so to bring a perspective of MCE's efforts to develop partnerships within the broader energy storage system, I'm going to hand things off to Dana from the County of Marin, who will be providing an overview of the Marin Exhibit Hall project.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, I'm Dana Armanino. I'm a principal planner with the County of Marin's sustainability team, and part of my duties include working with county departments on energy efficiency, renewable, and now resiliency projects. And so for this project, I'm working with our Public Works and Cultural Services Department on trying to improve one of our critical facilities with some battery backup. This project is located at the county's exhibit hall, which is located on the county fairgrounds next to our civic center in San Rafael. And during normal times, the exhibit hall is used for a large variety of events. It hosts portions of our county fair in the summer, and throughout the year it hosts trade shows, community exhibits, and it has a theater for various shows and events. And the building already has an existing 200 kilowatt PV array on the roof. And of course, the exhibit hall is also a customer of MCE since it formed in 2010. The County of Marin's very proud to have been involved in the development and launch of MCE. So of course, we were one of its first customers. However, in addition to the exhibit hall's normal operations, it also functions as one of the county's main emergency shelter locations. If you go, there we go. The building can house over 600 evacuees at full capacity. And unfortunately, the building has gotten a lot of emergency use in the last few years, both as a shelter and then most recently as one of the county's COVID testing and now mass vaccination sites. A prime example of our need for resiliency at the exhibit hall came in October 2019. The county experienced a major public safety power shutoff event when 2 of the 3 main transmission lines providing power to the whole county went down, which resulted in cascading effects, which essentially knocked out power to 99% of the county. The exhibit hall initially was activated as a community resource center for those without power, but then the Kincaid fire hit our neighbors to the north, and we quickly had to shift back into evacuation shelter mode to welcome in evacuees from the fire. But keep in mind, as we were trying to operate as a shelter, 99% of the county was without power, including the exhibit hall. So to get power up and running, our team had to work with PG&E to bring in a 500 kilowatt emergency generator and connect it to the building, a use for which the building was not originally designed in 1970. So basically, to connect the building to the emergency power, it required the equivalent of over 40 staff hours, as the team basically had to hardwire the generator into the system. It was a very time-consuming process where they had to ensure that all of the electrical loads in the building and from the PV system were disconnected at the main panel. Then they connected the generator directly to the main panel, And once that was completed, had to turn on each of the breakers one by one to make sure everything was working properly. And then days later, when power was restored, it took another 40 hours of staff time to completely power down the building, ensure each circuit was systematically de-energized, and then reconnect it to the main grid. So definitely not an ideal scenario for emergency shelter. In the year and a half since the 2019 power safety shutoff event, the county has upgraded the building to include a manual transfer switch, which will now speed up the switch to an emergency generator and require a lot less staff time. However, there's a missed opportunity with that in that the building already has that 200 kW PV array on the roof. So in an ideal world, we'd be able to set up a hybrid system to make use of the power the array generates, even in an emergency when we have to island from the grid. But given the size of the building and its 24/7 operations during an emergency, we would probably still need to bring in a generator, but we'd be able to augment its use with power from the PV array. So last year, MCE notified the county that they had launched their Resiliency Fund program and asked us if there were any critical facilities that might benefit from a battery storage project. And immediately both my and our public works team thought of the exhibit hall. It was the very first building on our list. So we partnered with MCE, they brought in their technical team, and they completed an initial feasibility assessment that examined the site's energy use, billing structure, operational use, both normal times and in an emergency, and the existing solar array. So the process resulted in a preliminary design for a 180 kilowatt or 685 kilowatt hour energy storage system that would integrate with that existing solar array. And based on the proposed designs and the financials, the county felt confident that the project met our emergency needs and financial goals. So we authorized the design team to go ahead and submit a self-generation incentive program application on behalf of the county. That application is currently undergoing technical review, but we're hopeful that it'll be approved. And then we'll be able to complete our procurement, contracting, engineering, and ultimately the construction. Our hope is to get it done hopefully by the end of 2021. That's our goal. So we may not make it for this year's wildfire PSPS event season, especially since they seem to be getting longer and longer, but we're definitely putting the pieces in place to ensure that our exhibit hall will be a more resilient facility in the coming years. And we're really excited about the project and excited that MCE has helped put the pieces in place to help us facilitate that. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer questions.
All right, thank you, Dana. And I wanted to extend my thanks both to Dana and to Vi, as well as the MCE staffers that helped support these programs behind the scenes, especially Alexandra McGee, who really led the charge on the Yeti battery storage program. And of course, Jamie Tuckey and Alice and Jim within the energy storage program that helped really build that program up and launch it. Of course, if you have any questions about either of these programs, feel free to reach out to me. Here's my email contact for MCE Clean Energy. And of course, happy to answer questions about the program.
And speaking of questions, thank you, Sean, Vi, and Dana for the excellent presentation. We can now start the Q&A. Jackson, do you want to read off the first question?
Yeah, great. So we have a question from Rachel in the chat, and she asks, can you speak to how many batteries have been installed with the program and whether you've been doing load shifting yet? And I believe that's to Sean.
Yeah, happy to answer that. Yeah, so the one of the challenges, I guess, has been this sort of the project cycle length, especially on our non-residential side, is quite lengthy. Kind of as Dana alluded to in her case study, it can be on the order of 18 months, especially if you're relying on the statewide self-generation incentive program. That can be a fairly lengthy application and approval process. And so we have multiple projects in the pipeline. Several of them are shovel ready, and they're planning their installation as we speak. Right now, I just looked at our numbers. We're staying around 6.6 megawatt hours across both the residential and the non-residential pipeline that will be installed soon. Within that, once the first installations are completed, the Ibarra, or the distributed energy resource management system, is being stood up, and we'll start demonstrating that load shifting this summer.
Great. Thank you, Sean. And here's another one, I think, I think this is an MCE question. For the Opportunity Build program, can you say more about MCE's role in the partnership with CBOs, such as providing funding?
Yeah, so within the workforce development components of this program, we're working with Rising Sun Center for Opportunity, and they're really taking a charge. But we also have a broader set of workforce development initiatives that we're coordinating with internally at MCE. But then we also have the Community Power Coalition that we engage with, which is a set of advocates that also includes some CBOs from our service territory. So within the energy storage program, we don't specifically have partnerships with CBOs, for example, providing funding within the energy storage program. But we are working with the Rising Sun Center for Opportunity that does have some of those relationships and is working to recruit and train the cohort within that side of the program.
Okay, we have another question in the chat, and this one's for Dana. Can you speak to whether you are projecting any cost savings due to battery storage project? And if so, what is the approximate value?
Yes, we are projecting with this project the combination of the SCHIP incentive, MCE's gap funding, and then also we're going to switch to a more battery-friendly billing rate with them, and then we'll also get those monthly incentives. So combine all of those things together, and we are projecting a positive benefit to the county after all of our construction costs of about $185,000 after 7 years.
Okay. From Mark, please speak to MCE's financing effort. And that one's in the chat, but if you could put the questions in the Q&A box, we'd appreciate it, because it just makes it easier to field them in one box. Thanks. So question about MCE's financing.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I can get into that. So we've partnered with the National Energy Improvement Fund, and I'll get into it a little bit, but financing is quite difficult, especially if we're trying to expand financing options to the majority of the customers in our area. And so we've partnered with NIFE on this effort to do the loan origination and servicing for that financing effort. And then MCE is recently approved a revolving loan fund that we're using to support that financing effort. And through that, we're offering a variety of financing options to our customers that are participating in the energy storage program. We're still working on the operational details of that financing effort. And we'll be excited to share those details once they've been finalized and ready to offer to our customers.
Great. We have another one. I think this is for you, Sean. Are there any plans to support building community microgrids on a partial feeder line under the eligible PG&E CMEP?
Yeah, so this is part of a much bigger picture. The energy storage program was not built, around the community microgrid enablement program that PG&E is running. However, customers are more than welcome to leverage our energy storage program along with the community microgrid enablement program and leverage the funding and the resources we have through our program in conjunction with the CMEP. The only caveat to that is that, we do have the control use case within our, the energy resources management system within our program. And so communities that are leveraging that, just need to, and we can work together directly with them just need to take a closer look at the program guidelines we have and make sure it's compatible with the community microgrid, along with the energy storage program that we're running.
We have another one. I think this is for Sean. Do you work with private contractors in the same manner as you do with CBOs?
Yeah, so within the energy storage program, I think this came from Richard, we use a trade ally network model. And so our implementation partners, TRC, conducts technical vetting. And typically those trade allies are like vendors. And so they have they have a battery system that they've either engineered or developed and are bringing to market, or they're a larger developer. Very often, those trade allies will partner with local contractors and local installers. In fact, the majority of them are using local installers to actually do the installs in our service territory. But there is a vetting process that they go through, because our partners at TRC have a fairly comprehensive quality assurance and quality control process that they go through to make sure that the actual installations our customers receive are actually performing as expected and delivering the value that our customers expect in the program. And that process usually happens after, that actual QA/QC process happens after the customer receives what we call permission to operate, and that's where PG&E is saying, yes, you can connect to our grid and start using your battery along with our system, the PG&E system. And then, and so there's that side of it. But then also the trade allies that we're working with, so that would be like SunPower or Electric or THG, are also asked to go through a vetting process where they make sure that the installers going out are properly licensed, and they're, and they're staying up industry best practices in the area. But also it creates opportunities for our workforce education and training program. And so they're also asked to consider and interview the trainees that are going through our program. So, we're looking at it pretty holistically. And so there is a bit of a pathway that you'd have to go through as a private contractor. And so, if you're already working with one of the trade allies we discussed earlier, that's really the best pathway.
Great. One from John. For the battery program, was it only for medical baseline customers on CARE/FARA, or was it for all medical baseline customers? Did you collaborate with PG&E? Did you leverage a third-party implementer?
Yeah, so I can take some of these. I don't know if you can step in on a few of the others. But yeah, so we did not leverage a third-party implementer for this. This was really an initiative undertaken by MCE in partnership with the partners we outlined on the slides before. And really, we didn't really use it as like a third-party implementer. It's like we really viewed it as a partnership. We're working directly with those organizations to identify and get those batteries out to the right customers. It was handled through an application process, and so customers did have to fill out an application to demonstrate the need based on what durable medical devices they wanted to power from the energy, from the portable battery system. So it wasn't specifically limited to those, medical baseline customers on CARE/FARA, but that was taken into consideration as part of the application process.
Great. We have another one for you, Sean, asking if you could speak about how the entire program specifically addresses the issues of equity and LMI customers.
Yeah, so we have different customer groups we consider, and so when we first launched the program, we focused on what were defined statewide as like the equity resiliency program within the self-generation incentive program. And to reduce as many of the barriers, we offered gap funding to customers that would qualify for equity resilience under SGIP, gap funding to cover up to 100% of the costs of the battery. It's a very capital intensive, it's a fairly capital intensive, batteries are capital intensive. There's just no way around it. They're quite expensive. And so when we built the program initially, it was to really leverage those funding streams and to leverage our resiliency fund to buy down the cost of the batteries as much as possible, but also put in structures or put in funding streams such as a bill credit, to make sure that the customer is receiving ongoing benefits from their battery after it's been installed. What happened last summer is that there was like a huge statewide rush on the SGIP program, and almost all of the equity resiliency funds were completely spent last summer. And so what we're actually have done since then is that we're pivoting the program to restructure how we offer gap funding. But again, the focus is that for our low-income customers, for customers that are like 80% or below mean area income, or perhaps are on a CARE or a FARA rate, that's a California alternative rates structure, can qualify for additional gap funding within our program. And we'll be sharing details about those new, in fact, I think they're live on our website right now. We've recently updated the program offering there. And then the financing program we're offering, I think, is really the biggest tool currently available to help customers that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford the upfront costs of a program. That financing program I described or really briefly went over offers very, very, very competitive interest rates to customers that meet certain qualifications. Again, those program details are being finalized right now, so I can't share them right now. But what I'd suggest you do is you sign up for program updates on our website, and when those updates are released, you'll receive them.
Great, thanks. I'm going to combine a couple here because one's really short. Were there a choice of batteries, and how might changes to the NEM program that may happen in the near future impact the economics of the projects?
So when we first launched the program, we only had one residential offering available. We did have two different trade allies on the non-residential side. So there was Gridscape and MBL. Since then, we've expanded it. So on the residential side, we have electric, we have SunPower, which was recently onboarded to the program. And then we have THG, which offers much more comprehensive solutions. And the THG's models, they can actually potentially integrate with a variety of different manufacturers. And so we have a fairly broad offering right now. And you know, for those that may not be aware, SunPower is actually right in our backyard. Their offices are in Richmond, or where they do a lot of their work. So we've actually recently expanded that offering for the residential side of the program as well as the non-residential side. But ultimately, we want to work together with the customers, and TRC, our partners, will help select the best fit based on the customer's needs for both resiliency as well as, you know, like how much solar they have installed at their house, or if they want to install additional solar. It becomes a conversation to really find the best fit that gets the best customer offering for each individual site.
Great. And then we have another one. This one says, apologies if this is already covered, but did the portable battery program serve all medical baseline customer needs? And are there plans for the future to expand this program?
Yeah, we touched on it briefly. I think Vi mentioned this. It's the answer is we wanted to serve customers with like immediate durable medical device needs, but you know, we do recognize there are customers who have devices that may not be who draw enough power, they can't be served by a portable battery. And so we tried to get those batteries to as many of those customers as possible. But, you know, really the pivot is for those customers with increased energy needs who need that resiliency. The best fit for them now is the energy storage program, which installs a permanent battery that can be powered by on-site solar and provide, you know, a longer term resilience in the face of outages or wildfires.
Okay, so I don't see any new questions. We'll put out a last call here before we wrap things up.
Oh, I actually see one here for Vi, asking if she could talk a bit more about the resiliency needs of the disability community and what other kinds of solutions you'd like to see for that community.
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So the The disability community and the medically vulnerable population, there certainly is some overlap, but there's also a little bit of distinction between the two. Can you say what the question was again? I want to make sure I'm actually answering it.
It's asking whether you can talk a little bit about what other resiliency needs the disability community could have, and what other solutions you'd like to see in the community. So what needs the disability community have, and what other programs or needs that they might have.
Okay, so I think first of all, there is a need for just more batteries. I don't think that met the need of all the people who could be served by those 100 that were delivered. I think that more generally speaking, with the disability community, I would like to see just greater access to programs and supports that are already out there and available, meaning information provided in simple language is what we call it, plain language, simple language. Information that's available in a variety of formats. And not everybody can read a screen and go to a website and fill out a form. So just, I think in very general terms about the accessibility of information and resources. If a person can't come and pick up some resource that's available to them, how are there other ways that a resource can be made available to them? So just, very generally speaking, making accommodations for people who need information provided in a different way, actually need a service provided in a different way, need access to resources provided in a different way.
Thank you. And I actually just realized I breezed over a question about, I believe it was AB 1139 and changes to the NEM program. So yeah, we're actually looking at the NEM 3.0 proceeding very closely. And to some extent, and this is my personal view here, is that the deployment of the energy storage system actually would help customers respond to changes to the NEM program. And then through the control platform we have, is we also can work with our customers, and we can work internally at MCE to look at the different use cases we have, and actually we can work to modify those to make sure that we're maximizing the value of the storage for our customers within what other guidelines or changes are instituted in updates to the NEM program. And for those on the call who are not aware, NEM is Net Energy Metering. It's the program that really helped kickstart the deployment of renewable energy in the state of California by allowing customers to send power back to the grid and then use that to offset their usage during other times of the day. So again, like the battery really helps sort of manage that situation in my view. And again, it kind of, I think, all comes down to that use case that we laid out and looking at whether or not we might have to make some tweaks on it. But that's something that would happen, I think, a year or two or more in the future. And we would be very deliberate and intentional in the way we made those changes to make sure that we're maintaining the customer value and the customer value proposition within the energy storage program that we have.
All right, well, with that, we will wrap things up. Thank you so much for answering all those questions and for all the great questions that were submitted, everyone.
Yeah.
I just want to say that we have lots of great resources on the CalCCA website, including a handout roundup on resilience initiatives. Do join our mailing list if you're not already on there. And we have our quarterly report posted there, which again highlights a lot of the great projects and programs CCAs are doing ongoing. And our spring 2021 report will be out later today. Again, the recording should be posted by Monday, and there's more information about past and upcoming webinars on our events page. And those take place, the webinars take place the last Friday of the month. Thank you for spending your time here with us today. And stay well, everyone.